got a lot to talk about with UFOs today, so get in here. This is Jack with Cosmic Road. I talk about UFOs and the paranormal. Please hit like and subscribe and let me know what you think in the comments below. Yeah, we have this awesome UFO video of this like fleet of UFOs. What is going on? Are there more fleets lately? Is that like a pattern we're seeing? Or maybe people are just recording them more? What do you think is going on? And can this be explained by some mundane means? Birds, satellites? Oh, yeah, that is definitely not a bird. Look at it just shooting off like that. Yeah, either this is a hoax or this is legit footage in my mind. I think this is probably a pretty solid sighting, but hey, let me know if you think this is CGI or, something like that. I would love to see some analysis of this. I guess I want to say, if somebody can break it down and detect any CGI or maybe even rule that out, that'd be really helpful. Especially when you see that one object that goes really fast. Let's watch that again. Yeah, hang on. Yeah, wait for it. Wait for it. Yeah, that one right there goes really fast. Uh-huh. And that's obviously not a bird or a balloon. And then they all begin winking out of existence. As they do. So I think that's a fantastic sighting, if legit. But yeah, I would love it. I would love to see some analysis on this to prove that this is authentic. But yeah, it looks pretty strong. So let me know what you guys think. And this was posted by Science Red, a red panda koala. So thank you, Red Panda. Meanwhile, it has been confirmed that the next UFO hearing in Congress has been pushed back. Matt Laszlo caught up to Anna Paulina Luna. He said, "You said the public UAP hearings postponed until after August." She said, "Yeah, we asked multiple people and they weren't willing to testify. They said we either didn't want to be the only one, we were worried about our safety, etc. Whistleblower protection? Any way to create infrastructure where whistleblowers feel protected. Oh, I think it's going to be more on legislation that we can push," she says. "There's still ways people can be messed with, whether it's their clearances," and I guess she goes, leaves that the rest of the sentence to our imagination. "Caught our ear. We're going to have a hearing. But we want to bring people who have firsthand knowledge and/or direct evidence, not second or third hand knowledge. But yeah, it's kind of frustrating because obviously we've been pushing hard for it, but it's like we open a skiff, they don't want to come testify." So, that's what we've been hearing forever, is that people are afraid for their safety, and people that have come forward, like David Grush, have faced bureaucratic terrorism, his own words, and possibly beyond bureaucratic terrorism. We know somebody broke into his house, and we don't know what David and his family found when they came back to their house. There seems to be something that they haven't told us there. They have hinted at something they found. We don't know what it is. I mean, I can speculate, did the man in black kill their dog or something like that? That's just pure speculation. But there is something that they haven't told us about what they found when David Grush and his family came back to their broken-in house. So more than bureaucratic terrorism is going on. Obviously, the control group has been taking people out forever. Understandable that the whistleblowers, who are actually direct participants of the UFO crash retrieval and reverse engineering programs, would be afraid for their safety. David Grush is still alive. Lou Elizondo is still alive. Matthew Brown is still alive. These people that do have some knowledge are still alive, who have come forward. But, they weren't directly, reverse engineering UFOs as far as we know. These direct participants may be under more scrutiny and obviously have a lot more to fear, I would expect. So I'm hoping that they can produce some greater whistleblower protection. Clearly, that is needed. Arrow, ostensibly, is a place for whistleblowers to go, but it didn't seem to work like that. Very frustrating, but they are continuing with the next UFO hearing, and we might get that September, maybe even September 1st. So we'll see how that goes. However, if people are being intimidated into testifying or, into not testifying, what is the caliber of the witnesses? What's the caliber going to be on September 1st or whenever that next UFO hearing is? Are they actually going to be able to get these direct participants to come forward? Or are we going to get something like the last UFO hearing where we had people like Lou Elizondo coming forward? And hey, I'm so glad that Lou finally got his day in court, as it were. He definitely deserves it. But I think we all want to hear from these direct participants. So we'll see if that happens. Let me know if you're optimistic. Mike Herrera chimes in on all of this. He says, I will explain why this is. Congress and the Senate have had actionable intelligence on the subject for the last 3 years. This includes who is involved, where the assets and biologics are, everything someone would need to plan and execute. Congress and Senate sat on their hands while whistleblowers revealed themselves to only have retaliation, threats to their finances and well-being, as well as their families' lives endangered. Until Congress can grant amnesty, protections, and I mean physical protections, and funding to help these people stuck on the other side still provide for their families. It's a waste of time and exposes someone firsthand for no reason and subjects them to the negatives of coming forward. Members of Congress know what needs to happen, but they choose not to do so. So there you go. That's Mike's take on all of this. And I really appreciate what he has to say here. When these people come forward, if they're losing their clearances, that's going to affect their livelihoods. So Mike has been suggesting for a little while now that something needs to be done. Maybe some fund needs to be created. Maybe even in the public sphere, public donations. I would be happy to chip into that to help out with these whistleblowers when they do lose their livelihoods coming forward with this information. But obviously there's other factors, as he says, physical protections. Are they going to be physically targeted? So I don't know what can be done for that. But he does talk about amnesty, which is what a lot of us have been wondering. Should we provide amnesty for people coming forward and just maybe even for the entire UFO control group, or at least large parts of it? I think that would be really helpful for the disclosure process. Personally, I am in favor of at least some amnesty for members of the UFO control group. I think it would allow people to come forward. It would encourage people to come forward. Where it gets tricky is, do you provide amnesty for people that have been, assassinating people and shooting down UFOs, and God knows what horrible skullduggery has gone on with the UFO control group. And there are some dark stuff that seems to have gone on that I'm not going to get into in this video. However, I am thinking about a video getting into some of the dark stuff that does seem to happen. Let me know if you'd like to hear that. I usually don't want to talk about that because it is pretty dark. But there you have it. That's Mike's thoughts on all of this. Let me know where you stand on a possible fund to protect the livelihoods of these whistleblowers coming forward, whether you agree to some amnesty, whether it's full amnesty for everybody or limited amnesty for, the people that aren't, doing the bad things. Obviously, you get more flies with honey than vinegar. So, the more honey we can provide, the more, flies are going to come forward. Maybe not a great analogy. I don't know. But I do want full UFO disclosure, which means the UFO control group coming public. And the more amnesty we provide, even to the darker stuff, the more it's going to encourage that full UFO disclosure so that the public has oversight of these black programs. And we definitely need oversight of these black programs. We need to shine light into these dark places, and we need to know what they're doing, why they're doing it, who they're doing it with, and we need to steer the ship, most likely, because I don't know if the people in charge of the UFO control group in all its various factions can be trusted. But let me know where you stand on all of that in the comments below. Meanwhile, Paul Oglesby sent me this. He says, my dad shares a wild moment. An orb splits into two right before his eyes. And Ryan Bledsoe, who he's talking to, has some thoughts on what that might mean.
Orb appears in my backyard, starts ribboning right over my pool, splits into two orbs, both about the size of a fist, and they both ribbon about another 20 feet. Leaves a trail of smoke behind, and the whole trail of smoke and the orbs all disappears at the same time.
What it's worth. Wow. There was some smoke phenomenon that happened in our backyard one time, but it wasn't something that we were necessarily seeing with our eyes as much as we were getting it on camera. And someone very high up in the CIA, he's the guy that ran the spy program, and he's like read into all this UFO stuff. He's very into the paranormal phenomenon, and he was explaining to us, based on our experiences, he said, what we believe is that when you see this smoke associated with these orbs, that it is evidence of some sort of entity manifestation.
Orb appears.
Now, that is really fascinating. Now, he is talking about smoke or fumes coming out of a UFO itself, where Ryan might be describing something else altogether. I and others have shared, multiple UFO videos where there's a smoke or exhaust or a plume of some sort, leaving a smeary trail behind UFOs as they move through the sky. Sometimes, I don't know what that is. I'm not convinced that that is a manifestation of a being of any sort. I mean, I could be wrong, but to me, that doesn't quite feel right. To me, that's some sort of artifact or side effect of the technology being used by the UFO itself. However, there are other cases where there is this smoky stuff and these contact experiences that does seem to be related to some sort of entity or some sort of process of some sort of entity coming forward. So I think they're describing two distinct things, but let me know what you guys think. Let's see. Meanwhile, speaking of weird contacts, Jacques Vallée says, Wakanda, Washington, Thursday, 23rd, March 1995. Residents of this former mining town have reported a flap of fairy sightings in recent months. One witness showed me a small burlap sack filled with exotic dried mushroom caps that a 4-inch tall little bearded man left in her garden. Okay, all right. Now, this is a recent post of Jacques Vallée, but he seems to be describing a fairy flap in 1995. I don't know why that's on his mind now. Is there a new fairy flap? Am I reading him wrong here? And he's talking about something more recent. But there you go, a fairy flap in Washington, which is really interesting. Most fairy flaps are in the old country, but here he is talking about the New World and fairies in the East Coast of the United States. From my own research, fairies do seem to exist. I mean, I don't know what they are. Some aspect of the phenomenon representing themselves as fairies or fairy-like beings. Now, getting any credible information on these guys is really difficult. Whatever that is, it doesn't really want us to know much about it. It might target certain specific people that it wants to interact with. And, that's about all you get. You might get, some information that they're able to reveal, but even then they're not able to reveal as much as we would like. And trying to get good, images of these guys is next to impossible. So I don't know what fairies are. What, are they some aspect of shadow people or ghost people, or are they aliens? Are they physical? What are they? I have no idea, but there does seem to be some there. I just don't know what the there is. So if you have any clue, let me know in the comments below. Meanwhile, Think Tank has posted this. Apparently, some fighter jets were chasing a UFO in Pittsburgh 4 hours ago. Now, this was several days ago. But you have this picture of these fighter jets pursuing this anomalous object. And I've asked for, the source on this and further information on this. And so far, it hasn't been forthcoming. So if you guys do know anything more about this incident, I would be very curious to learn. Now, obviously, there's many examples of fighter jets intercepting UFOs, sometimes escorting them, sometimes bringing them down. Sometimes in times past, the UFO has brought the fighter jet down or transported it somewhere else. At least those are the stories. So, let me know what you think about this interesting encounter. So far, it's just a picture, but I would like more information on it. Now, speaking of, shadow people and weird things, what's the relationship between shadow people and aliens? This is from Fringe, sharing her own insight as an experiencer.
And I spent most of my adult life with shadow people. I had a lot of encounters. I had seen Hat Man at 17, and then I had a lot of encounters over the years with shadow people. And I did not understand until I was able to maintain consciousness during an experience with a shadow person, shadow thing, that had paralyzed me and put me in some type of I call it a straitjacket hold. I was able to break out of that and open my eyes. And lo and behold, there was a gray alien standing in my bedroom. I won't get into that whole story. But it wasn't until I was in my 50s, I'm 56 now, that I realized that the shadow people were involved with the aliens. And there are now abductees I've spoken to, for instance, Ted Rice, who have seen them use technology, the gray aliens, to turn themselves into a shadow or into a being that can easily travel the astral realm. And so I did not know this. My entire life, I knew I went out of body. I knew I spent some time in the astral realm, in the etheric realm, lucid dreaming, lots of very strange experiences, but I would have classified them as paranormal. And a lot of abductees classify their experiences as paranormal until they see a gray alien face to face. Some of us go many, many years without having any of that conscious recall.
Yeah, the confluence of the paranormal and the metaphysical and what we think of as alien is really, really fascinating to me. And I think it's a very important thread to pick at. I don't think that we can ignore the paranormal and the metaphysical in relationships to UFOs if we're ever going to make any progress in understanding UFOs and interacting with the beings behind them. It's all part of one bigger picture. According to the Edgar Mitchell Foundation, almost a third of all alien abductees are near-death experiencers, people who have died, been to the other side, and come back. People see the dead aboard UFOs. In Las Vegas, there's aliens in their backyards one moment, their house is haunted the next. It goes on and on and on. And from my own experiences, I can absolutely say that the two are connected. And I'm sure many of you have had similar experiences. So what is the deal? When I was doing ghost hunting, I would have to ask people whose houses we were going to, whose houses were haunted. I would have to ask them certain questions to figure out if they were abductees, alien experiencers, NHI experiencers, or experiencers of the paranormal. Do they have missing time? Do they have weird marks on their bodies? And what kind of marks? Do they have 3 scratches, or do they have something that might be from a procedure aboard a ship or an implantation or something like that? And sometimes there seem to have been cases, not that we investigated, but that others have investigated, where there were actually ghosts or things that look like ghosts that turned out to be aliens, as if the aliens themselves were impersonating ghosts. It's crazy, guys. Then you have near-death experiences where people will see, gray aliens hanging out with Jesus on the other side. And that's a near-death experience. But then you have alien abduction experiences where you'll have aliens telling people to follow the teachings of Jesus. Or for that matter, to teach them about chakras and auras and things like that. It's just wild, guys. I love it. I wish I knew what it all meant. If you do, let me know in the comments below. Last but not least, did you know that wombats were this big? Wombats are huge. Look at that. I had no clue, guys. Let me know what you think about this massive wombat and everything else covered today in the comments below. Like and subscribe. Hit the bell to be notified of future videos. You don't want to miss a thing. Join me on social media. There's Facebook and Twitter links below. Love to see you guys there. If you want to support Cosmic Road in a bigger way, consider grabbing a coffee mug or a t-shirt in the merch store below, or you can become a channel member. Channel members are rock stars, and I really appreciate you guys' support. Thank you. Also, channel members frequently get to see videos hours ahead of everybody else. Meanwhile, there's plenty of other videos on the channel, and I'll see you guys next time. This is Jack with Cosmic Road, signing out.